Hey, well, this is Zacchaeus with another live word of the day. God bless, God bless. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. And those who are tuning in for the first time, I thank you for tuning in. And for those who've been consistently supporting me, I thank you. Well, today I want to discuss that it really disturbed my spirit and it been brought to my attention. It just grabbed my attention. The brother name, as you can see the caption, his name is Jordan Neely. He was a Michael Jackson impersonator. Yo, large up. R.I.P. to the king of pop and big up to Michael Jackson. Jordan Neely was a Michael Jackson impersonator. Now, during the time at that time when he was in the train asking for food, yes, he was a little loud and he was a little disturbing, but he was not threatening. According to the sources, in Times Square, riding on the train in Times Square, at Lower Manhattan, 34th Street, he was not threatening. He was not threatening. He was just on a train at that moment, at that time, asking for food. He was a little loud, but he was not threatening to nobody. Do you know many times folks ask for food? Privileged and entitled folks ask for food? Do you know many times people, you got to see some white folks asking for food and they're loud and they're very loud with it, and that don't happen to them? But here is it that a young black man, Jordan Neely, asked for something simple as food. He was loud, but he's asking for food. He was starving. And because of that, he ended up dead by a chokehold, by a self-entitled, actually not self-entitled, yes, entitled, privileged dude that act like he knows everything, took the laws into his own hands. Now, when I heard this case, it reminded me of the Eric Garner case back in 2013 and 2014 with Pentelano, the police officer that got off. Police officer that got off. This remind me of also of, let me see. I said Eric Gardner. Oh, it also remind me of Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia, who was running. Once again, entitled, privileged folks took the law into their own hands and decided to take Ahmaud Arbery's out. All he was doing was running. So they've seen a young black man running through the neighborhood, and all of a sudden now, he's a threat. They assumed he was stealing something in the neighborhood, and they decided to take his life out. They decided to take his life out. Now, Jordan Neely, all he was doing was asking for food. Now, if you're holding, according to the sources, you're holding have somebody in a chokehold. Talking about this is the ex-Marine guy right here, as you can see in the caption. You put somebody in a chokehold for 15 minutes. What do you think is gonna happen? And he's tapping out. What do you think is gonna happen? And you still have him in a chokehold because you claim, Mr. Entitled Privilege, that you're gonna hold him until the police comes. But this man was panting for breath. What do you think is gonna happen? What do you think is gonna happen? Now, this man, see, let me tell you something. And I teach my kids this too. Different strokes for different folks. And what I mean by that is that when we do things, because we as black people, we do things, and he's seen a young black man like Jordan Neely, he was a little bit disturbing, and because they didn't like what he was doing at that moment, at that time, they took it upon their hand, he took it upon his hand to choke him out. Took it upon his hand to say, okay, I don't like what you're doing. And because you're out of pocket, they don't like what you're doing, they feel that they have that right to take your life because they're young, black, and poor. You see a young black and poor woman, you see a young black and poor man, or you see a black man that's poor and a black woman that's poor, and you figure that their life mean nothing. Their life is worthless. Their black life don't matter. Their network don't. They don't have no network. Their life don't matter. So I just take him out. I'll get off because he's poor and black. That's what they think. Because he's poor and black, I'll just take his life out, and just it don't mean nothing because he's poor and black. Is that because you don't have no title to your name? Because you're black and you're poor? They figure they'll get away with it. They do injustice to you and get away with it. That's what the entitled, privileged people think, that they'll get away with it. And I teach my kids that because we are held to a higher authority, because a person, your white counterpart, will get 5 years, you'll get 20 years for the same thing you did. Same thing. No different. And because your skin is black, you'll get more time than your white counterpart. Yes, I said it, and it's facts. I said it. Zacchaeus said it. That's facts. It's true. So we have to cross I's and dot our T's. Why? Yes. Yes. And because Jordan Neely was just doing a simple thing, asking for food. He was maybe a little loud about it, but he was asking for food. How many times you give somebody something, you don't hear this. If Jordan Neely was a young white man, you would live to see it the next day. They'll chase him off the train. They'll probably give him some food and some money in his hand and say, oh, get off the train now. You're a little bit too loud. Because the entitled privileged, they see a young black man making noise and and a little disturbing, wasn't life-threatening to nobody, wasn't threatening anybody, but he was just loud. They figured that they didn't like it, so we just quiet him. So they grabbed him, held him down, and this ex-Marine held him in a chokehold and figured that, okay, I hold him down for 15 minutes. He knows the training. He may be an ex-Marine, but he don't forget the training. You hold somebody down for 15 minutes. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? Happens all over this country. Injustice to black women and to black men. Injustice happens all over. I know some names I forgot. That's been happening. It's always happening. Always happening. I pray, I don't know, but I pray that Jordan Neely gets justice. Justice for Jordan Neely. There's an uproar, right now there's some protests going on in New York City, in the middle, close to Times Square, on West 34th Street, East 34th Street, in New York City, on this matter. There's some protests going on. All different type of folks you see. There's some protests going on. Some protests going on in the city concerning this case. Let's say it loud. Justice for Jordan Neely. Simple thing of getting something to eat. He had to try to get something. Maybe he went about it. He was a little loud. Went about it like a lot of people that are mentally ill. But you don't hear stories like this. You don't hear stories like this. You hear it because a young black man by the name of Jordan Neely was screaming because he was hungry. What a live word today is coming out of Romans chapter 12 verses 18. If possible, so far it depends on you, live peacefully with all. If possible, so far as depends on you to live peacefully with all. Let's show some human courtesy. Let's show some human courtesy. And let's strive to live in peace one with another. hard to do. In this Babylonian system, God knows that most of the time is unrealistic. But we could strive. But this is Zacchaeus coming to you with another live word of the day. God bless. And if you agree with this content, smash the like button. Also, leave a comment. Leave a comment, smash the like button, and subscribe to my channel, Zacchaeus Gospel. Thanks for tuning in. Peace and blessings, y'all. God bless.